Hello everyone and welcome to the Commexis Cast Daily, all the news you need to know from our inbox to yours. I'm McGrorty, the videographer and podcaster here at Commexis, and today I'm joined by the lead strategist at Commexis, Phillip.
Good morning.
Bit of a scenery change today while we're getting some other things set up, so we're nice and in the studio against this lovely gray background.
We should change this to whatever we want. It's really just put it up there.
If only it were that easy.
Yes.
So today we're talking about chatbots. Specifically, eMarketer just came out with a report that chatbot use for marketers has actually been decreasing in comparison to some earlier numbers from 2006 to 2017. So in December 2017, Freedman International and ClickZ surveyed 500 marketers from the US and UK, and just 7% of respondents said they currently use AI-powered chatbots, while another 27 reported that they're looking into using chatbots, and most respondents said their company was either not ready or did not have the budget to develop them yet. And a December 2017 report from Conductor showed that 34% of the worldwide marketing executives polled said AI was the marketing trend they felt most unprepared for in 2018. So before we get into some more numbers, why do you think that this is?
I don't know. I think that people are a little bit afraid of the chatbot because it is an AI, and there's things that could happen that potentially could reflect negatively on the brand, or especially if you're in an industry that's more likely to function on face-to-face kind of meetings, things like that. But I think if you're dealing primarily with a millennial or younger audience, they're going to be people that are far more comfortable with this technology. But if you're still somebody that's working in dealing with outreach with older folks or people that are, above that millennials and Gen X even and above, I think you're probably going to find a little bit of resistance to that model. But we do know that, as part of our regular, programming on the digital transformation, that this is a key element of having the 24/7 availability to at least get answers to questions, even if it is a chatbot that's, interactive. It's a key part of what most companies are doing going forward. And if you're a company that is B2C, you need to have some sort of 24/7 channel available to them, whether it's social media, whether it's a chatbot, something that allows people to get an answer to their questions right away.
Yeah, absolutely. And going off of what you mentioned with brands worrying about their brand safety, so here's a small little comparison from 2016 to 2018, and then a couple reasons why some brands have discontinued their chatbots. So in 2016, there were 51 companies making chatbots, and then there was a bubble burst, so to speak. So a lot of companies started discontinuing them, such as Everlane in spring. So Facebook Messenger had a couple bots, and Facebook deactivated a decent amount of them for high failure rates, and they started creating their own languages, which was, I remember when that story broke out and the chatbots are talking to each other. Very, very interesting stuff. So definitely check that out. I'll see if I can link it in the blog post of our podcast. But the failure rate for these Facebook chatbots that got discontinued were 70%, meaning that bots could only get to 30% of requests without some sort of human intervention. I don't know how these bots obviously were sort of set up, but I think that it makes complete sense that Facebook would shut them down with such a high failure rate. But I also think that to some extent it comes to what are you using the chatbot for. So obviously something like Facebook Messenger, there's a lot of opportunities for a chatbot use. But I wonder if they work better in very specific scenarios. So for example, Starbucks and I believe it was Staples have been using them to confirm drinks for Starbucks and just confirm orders at Staples. So I'm assuming something kind of like either placing an order or just checking up on order status. And I think that might be one of the better ways to do it, in the sense of there's less that can kind of go wrong.
Yeah, I think the problem is that there's a tremendous amount of branching logic trees that need to be fully fleshed out when you're building a chatbot as a customer service tool. There's anytime that somebody asks a question, you need to follow that to every possible iteration and ending. And those pathways can get extremely complex very quickly. And I think that when people are starting these chatbots up, they're not thinking about the full buyer's journey and all the different places and questions that people could be asking. And I mean, in that respect, it's actually a very good learning tool if you're following what's going on, because if you see repeated failure on certain questions or things like that, you learn a lot more about what people are asking about when they're dealing with your product. So I think in this case it's less of a failure and more of an opportunity to understand exactly what it is you're doing. But I also think that a chatbot isn't a set and forget it kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody needs to be monitoring that channel. If you're getting a lot of questions about a certain thing, especially if you're a business, let's say you're you're running an IT company or something like that. Maybe there's a server down or something like that. If you see that volume increase rapidly and people are coming about the same kinds of questions, that should be somebody should be monitoring that to make sure that they can react in real time, even if it's they're only able to get 70% of the messages through. Those 70%, if they're all about the same thing, that there's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of examples, and we've talked on the show before, which I'll also link to previous podcasts where we've talked about chatbots, where chatbots have been used to automate some processes or just make things a little bit easier. For example, there was a beauty company who was using them to schedule massages and stuff like that. So there are a lot of ways where the chatbots can be used as long as you're thinking about how they're going to be used, and then, as Phillip mentioned, sort of tailoring the experience as you go. So not to leave the chatbots on a sort of, or artificial intelligence in general, on sort of a negative note. One of the things that the eMarketer article mentions is that even though chatbot use is down, brands are still focusing on artificial intelligence to automate audience targeting, ad buying, and the creation of custom audience marketing, audience segments rather. And AI is being deployed by marketers to expand their content marketing efforts, according to an April 2017 Salesforce survey of marketing leaders worldwide. AI's biggest impact on marketing will come from its ability to help marketers deliver the right message at the right time and hyper-personalized content. So while chatbots being used a little bit less, artificial intelligence definitely has a lot of areas in which it can definitely help your brand if you're going to be using it that way.
Right. I mean, keep in mind again, this is a chatbot. This is not focused content. This is not dealing. This is a very general entry point, probably into the very top of your sales funnel. Just to get people to where they need to go to get their questions answered, so that you can then introduce your product as the tool to solve their problem. So.
Absolutely.
That's really what this tool is for. It's not meant to replace a customer service, FAQ or anything like that. It's really just a way to get people into the top of the funnel, answer the questions they have as quickly as possible, and get them on the right track to dealing with somebody in person, if that's how your sales model works. Mm-hmm. If you're just doing something through retail, we just answer your questions. How does this product fit? How do we measure it for size? That kind of thing, and then dump them right into the actual e-commerce space. So it's a big piece of much large part of the digital transformation model, but it has to be done correctly or it will fail.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for tuning into today's episode of the Commexis Cast Daily. Check us out tomorrow for more of the latest breaking news. Have a great day.
Okay.